Vernon Jones is planning on running for the governor of Georgia. Welcome to the Rob Lett Show. I'm your host, Rob Lett. Before we get started, I'd like you to go ahead and do a few things. First of all, like this video, subscribe to it. If you happen to be on YouTube, somewhere in your upper right-hand corner, you're going to see a bell. That's a notification bell. It notifies you the next time we come out with a brand new video. If you happen to be on Rumble, in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see a share button. That share button allows you to send this to a friend who should have been here today. Go ahead and do all of those right now. Today is not a podcast. We call these segments Soapbox News. They're current events where I felt compelled to get on my soapbox. It's also your opportunity to get on your soapbox in our comments section. Vernon Jones is planning a run to be governor of the state of Georgia. That's the focus of today's Soapbox News. So let me talk about why I make these videos in the first place. There's a sentiment among some people that if you're all conservative, then that means you're probably an echo chamber because you agree on everything all the time, right? Nothing could be further from the truth. I can't tell you how many times I bumped heads maybe with another conservative because even though we shared the same set of principles, we may have disagreed on the application of those principles. You have to remember that conservatives at their core are still individualists, right? That means we still have our own individual opinion. So there are really three different reasons why I make these videos. One is so that conservatives can hear a different opinion from amongst your own. The second reason is so that independents and leftists can hear our opinion. And the third reason is because nothing excites me more than to see that moment when a leftist or an independent has that red pill moment, right? The moment when they finally realize, hey, you know what? I just might be a conservative. Now, I don't know if you've been paying attention in the last year, but we've had a number of people who've left the Democrat Party and shifted to become Republicans. I'm not going to go through the entire list of people who've made that shift from left to right, but I do want to touch on just three people because I want to make a point here towards the very end. The first one of those individuals is Jeff Van Drew. Now, he's a New Jersey House rep from the 2nd District. Then there's John Lee. He's the mayor of northern Las Vegas. Then finally, there's Vernon Jones. He was a Georgia House rep from 1993 to 2001. Then again, from 2017 to 2021. It's this last guy that I want to talk about here for a minute. Now, first of all, I live here in Georgia. When I first heard of Vernon Jones, he was actually the CEO of a place here called DeKalb County. Now, DeKalb County is fairly a rough area. So when I first heard that he was shifting from Democrat to Republican, it was more than a shocker to say the least. I was wondering if this guy was going to be able to go back home. Let me play a brief clip of Vernon Jones talking about why he wanted to leave the Democrat Party.
I was a lifelong Democrat who came out to support President Trump. My party called me an embarrassment. They told me I should resign. They told me I didn't share their values. I guess I don't. At the same time, liberal networks, they don't let me on their stations because I wasn't carrying the narrative of a victim or calling President Trump a racist when in fact Joe Biden, the one who has the bigotry in him, the Democratic Party, but they don't want me to talk about that. So I have never been given any real opportunity to be on the CNNs and the ABCs and NBCs because I am an independent thinking African-American man with conservative values, and they don't want me to have that because I guess I have influence on bringing people in who traditionally just been voting Democrat, and I say specifically African-Americans. And so they're horrified by me, the left, because they don't control me like they traditionally have done. And all they do is get the black vote and use that to carry out a very liberal agenda that has nothing to do with the black community and have not done anything for them really in the past 60 years.
Now, keep in mind, I agree with everything Vernon just said there. It was just going to take a little while for me to process the fact that he was coming out as a Trump supporter. And when he came out in support of Republicans, dude came all the way out. I mean, he was body surfing at the rallies and everything. Now, you may be asking yourself at this point, Rob, you just said earlier that nothing excites you more than to see a person shift from becoming an independent or a Democrat to actually making that transition to becoming a Republican. That's called the red pill moment, right? That moment that they realize, hey, I just might be a conservative. But now here you are contradicting yourself because not only are you about to criticize the guy for making a transition from the left to the right, but out of all of the three candidates that you just named, the person that you're picking on just happens to be a black guy. Well, I hope you realize I'm not singling him out because he's a black guy. I'll show you why I'm picking on Vernon Jones. It's just something that came to me and it bothers me a little bit. Maybe it doesn't bother you. So why pick on Vernon Jones? Because Jeff Van Drew, when he became a Republican, he ran against Democrat Amy Kennedy and he defeated her, and that made perfect sense to me. John Lee is planning a run for governor against Democrat incumbent Steve Sisolak in 2022. Now, given that Joe Biden's approval rating is tanking, John will probably win. And that makes perfect sense to me. But in Vernon Jones' case, you have this. Do you see it? Or is it just me? Okay, let me run through it one more time. Jeff Van Drew, new Republican against a Democrat. John Lee, new Republican against a Democrat. Vernon Jones, new Republican against a Republican? Slow down, bruh. I'm like Chris Tucker. Same time, man, same time. I don't know you like that, bruh. Maybe it's just me, but why can't he run against a Democrat? Any Democrat. Run against Warnock. Run against Ossoff. Run against any Democrat, but why run against another Republican? No offense at all to Vernon Jones, but I don't know you like that yet, bruh. We already have an issue amongst Republicans being real conservatives. We certainly don't want to accidentally elect a Democrat who seems Republican because he knows all the right buzzwords. I'm not saying that Jones isn't genuine. What I'm saying is that it's harder to be a conservative than it is to be a leftist. When you're a conservative, they expect you to be consistent. They expect you to be logical. When you're a leftist, they don't care if you're wishy-washy from day to day. But what do you think of Jones's run for governor of Georgia? Let me know in the comments section. I know there are a lot of Republicans who are hot against Brian Kemp because Trump is hot against Brian Kemp. But does Kemp not deserve any of our loyalty? Those of you who don't live in Georgia might not understand this, but Brian Kemp has been in the trenches with us. When the riots were going on in Atlanta, it was Democratic Mayor Keisha Lance who had rappers addressing the public and sitting on her hands while the violence was going on. It was Brian Kemp that was still in support of our police. When the entire nation was locked down, it was Brian Kemp who was single-handedly responsible for Georgia being the first state to reopen. He was constantly at war with the Democratic mayor here. And just recently, Kemp signed an executive order telling businesses they did not have to abide by their local mandates. They could use their own judgment when it came to their customers wearing masks or reopening. Are you sure you want to throw him under the bus now for a former Democrat with no track record? I'm just asking. There's a lot of vitriol against Brian Kemp right now, and I suspect I know why, but that's a topic for a future video, the tension between Trump and Brian Kemp, and it goes beyond the election. Are you sure you want our state caught up in that? Listen, if Vernon Jones is a conservative in name only who just happened to learn a few buzzwords, then we will have elected a Democrat to our red state at a time when our rights need to be protected the most. On the other hand, if Jones is the conservative that he says he is, becoming governor of Georgia will certainly neutralize the Democrats' most popular weapon that they use all the time, which is race. Atlanta being a predominantly black city, it will be tough for the Democrats to play the race card when both Republican and Democrats are black. You're going to be forced to talk about the issues. And make no mistake, the Democrats' candidate will be black. This is the reason why I wanted so badly to see Herman Cain win the Republican nomination against Barack Obama, because then, for the first time, Democrats would have been forced to discuss the issues instead of playing these silly color games. And that's where I'll leave it for now. If you're new around here, our channel is a combination of long-form podcasts for an understanding of conservative principles and Soapbox News, which is your opportunity for you to get on your soapbox about the latest news of the day. Be sure you like, subscribe, and share with someone who should have been here with us. See you next time.